Normally when it comes to SUVs, you have to choose between luxury or off-road capability. Well, I'm going to show you a vehicle that does not only the best of both, but does both of those exceptionally well. This is the 2025 Lexus LX700H in the Overtrail package. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related content. Okay, so getting right into it here, today's my first time actually being able to see an LX700H in person. And when Lexus first announced this, I was really confused by the announcement because here's a vehicle that they decided to make hybrid and more off-road, like what we saw with the GX Overtrail. And even side by side a regular LX, there is only some subtle differences, but once you see them, it does make a big difference. So a little bit of an overview. So we have this sort of softly painted front grille. It's not the F-Sport grille, it's more of that luxury horizontal type, and it's trimmed off in almost like a metallic black. Of course, being that it's a flagship, we still have the triple beam LED headlights as well as that beautiful daytime running light. Once you start to get a little bit lower, we can see we have some active aero. So it looks like these sides do provide some cooling. We have a little bit of metallic gray here. And of course, the color itself is earth. And we saw that for the first time in the GX Overtrail, and it's been very well received ever since. But the side profile may be where it stands out the most. The first thing you're gonna notice is these massive off-road Toyo tires. And word has it, it took them 3 years to develop these specifically for the Lexus LX and the GX. And when you get up close to it, you'll notice that not only is there tread on the top of these tires, there's actually some tread on the sides. And the point of that is, of course, off-roading. So when you're off-roading and you're doing some rock crawling and going over trails and stuff like that, of course, anybody that's done that has known it's not just the center of your tire making that contact. Sometimes you need a little bit extra on that sidewall to be able to grip the things that we're going over, especially if it has ruts and you're in those off-road trails, etc. Also, you can tell by the much smaller 5-spoke, actually 6-spoke wheel versus the luxury and executive models that, this is definitely for off-road. And it also shows a little bit of comfort as well. The other thing is you'll notice how much I'm squatting right now, because the fact that this vehicle is off, it actually lowers by 1 inch. And when you are off-roading, you can raise it by another 3 to 4 inches to create a little bit more of that clearance height. And that's a big difference between that LX Overtrail and of course the GX. In terms of styling on the side, we of course have some piano black mirrors with some trim around those windows, actual manual handles, which I always like to see. And of course, really, really solid doors, which of course you would expect that from a flagship from Lexus especially. You do have the running boards. Now, in a normal SUV, I'm not someone that would add running boards too often. However, with the LX and even the GX, I find it useful for one main reason for me. And that is these cars, these trucks are made to be used in your lifestyle capability. So exploring the countryside and going on road trips and things like that. And what does that mean? Well, it means you might need roof racks. So to be able to step on something and comfortably be able to access roof racks, a surfboard, maybe some, skis or snowboards, stuff like that, gives me, even though I'm 6'1", it gives me a little bit extra of that height so that I'm not stepping on the inside of the vehicle. To get in and out, unless we had it raised to that 3 or 4 extra inches, I don't know if I would use those running boards, but the fact that they're there for even just that accessory piece, I think is a big difference. Okay, so getting to the back of the LX, one of my favorite things about this is how bold that LEXUS really is. And it gives it that vehicle a little bit of presence. It does a great job for the nameplates and it looks amazing. In the bottom right corner, of course, we have LX700H, which is a first for us. We have that exposed wiper in the center, no big deal there. And of course, that light bar that goes from one side to the other. But what I really want to show you is as we open this up, and it's not powered right now, so I have to do it manually, is the configuration here in the back. So you can get this vehicle as a 5-passenger or a 7-passenger, depending on if you want those extra seats for kids and family and whoever else. And when you have that third row, it does take up a little bit of height space because of it. And that's where the hybrid batteries are, by the way, is underneath that third row. However, you can fold down this little platform and it clicks into place. And now, even though we have that raised portion because of those rear seats, we can use that as a really good platform for putting stuff in there, especially if you were to fold that second row as well. So again, still very, very practical. I would probably do that third row, and then it's just nice to have if I ever need it. I don't think I would miss that extra 5 or 6 inches of height space. And then of course we have that level as well. But that's not all. Over to the side, we have power folding seats for both rows of seats and a quick button that you can just press all and it'll fold down all of the seats for you. So really, really easy there. Above that, we have a 120 volt plug that you can plug in anything to, and rare enough, 2400 watts, where usually most SUVs would be about half of that. So to use, not only power tools, but also things like heaters if you're camping, obviously lights, a cooler, you'll be able to charge all of that, because again, the LX700 is all about lifestyle. Okay, so getting in the LX700, this is where I can really go over all of the other special things that make this vehicle different from the regular LX. And I shouldn't say regular, because even the LX itself is a vehicle that's special on its own. But on here, one of the most surprising things that I learned today, thank you to Michael for showing me, is the shift knob is different. So again, this is the first hybrid LX, meaning we've switched it over to an electronic gear shift now. It's not just any electronic gear shift. This is the biggest electronic gear shift that we've had. And it's gonna serve two purposes. And you're probably thinking, why is Dustin rambling on about something that just puts it in gear? Well, here's the reason. So the reason that it's bigger is so that you can have a little bit more of a grip on it, because if you are doing off-roading, you might be constantly switching it in drive and reverse to rock yourself out of a situation. But also, since it's the electronic gear shift, it means you're doing that a lot quicker than if it was mechanically connected. And I can vouch for this, because the first thing I noticed about driving an NX or RX hybrid is when I go to back into my driveway, I live on like a busier street, so I'm driving and you need to back into it really quick, I can pop it into reverse really easy. And since it's hybrid and there's no mechanical, it does it without even trying. So I do think that there's an off-road capability for that. Also, this is the first Lexus we've had that had triple locks. What that means is not only can you lock the center differential as you're off-roading, so just imagine you're off-roading and you get stuck, you can lock that center differential. You get stuck again, you can lock the rear differential. And if it is to happen again, you still have that parachute where you can lock the front differential. And there's separate buttons for them, sort of tucked away under the dash where my right leg goes. Again, the fact that it's hybrid has really opened up these possibilities of extra little controls. Speaking of extra little controls, I told you at the beginning of the video that this vehicle doesn't compromise luxury or utility. So already the wheelbase is designed in a specific sweet spot so that it's great off-road as well as great in the city, meaning it's smooth for both, where if you were to do like a shorter wheelbase, it would be better for off-road, but maybe not have that luxury feel like a full-size FUD does. Or if it has the longer wheelbase, again, it won't be as good for off-road, but it might be a bit more comfortable. This one has the best of both. So there is buttons in here to raise that ride height a few extra inches, as I mentioned, but also not compromising luxury. We can press a button and have this vehicle park itself, because that hybrid powertrain is now allowing us to do so. So you can press this vehicle, it'll parallel park, it'll back into a space. All of these things that it's technology that's been out for a while, but just like how cell phones have improved over the last 20 years, so has that technology. And every once in a while, I try to test it out just to see if it's as good as I remembered it being. And it definitely is. Of course, it being a fully loaded Lexus, we have heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, open pore wood grain that actually is dyed with what they call sumi ink. So this is another homage to the Japanese craftsmanship that Lexus has built such a brand on. And it's the same ink that in traditional Japanese form has been used to do calligraphy. So that black open pore wood just has another level of luxury to it. In the center, we have a wireless charger as well as a cool box. So again, for those long road trips of you and the family, you can have some Gatorade, some water, some Perrier, if your name is Dustin, in there, keeping cool for that road trip, as well as some cup holders both in the door and in the center. Now the LX, and I've shown this on other videos, has one of the most unique displays in the lineup, and that's this separate screen here. I can't turn it on for you, but we have done many views on it before, where it shows that off-road capability. So things like yaw and crawl control and pitch and angle and all of those systems are gonna be displayed on that bottom screen, which is that rugged utility aspect. And then that top screen is gonna be our luxury aspect. So things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of your music, navigation, all on that bonded glass type tablet type screen. More technology. So again, even though this is an off-road luxury vehicle, we still have all of the latest Lexus safety systems. So everything from lane centering assist to radar cruise control pre-collision system. I think it even has proactive driving assist, but without me turning it on, I can't tell. And the latest gauge cluster as well. So that's all been updated. We have a driver monitor system, which you can see here. We have cameras that go all over the place. So not just for parking in those downtown Toronto tight parking spaces, but also as you're off-roading, you can hit that button and be able to see what you're actually going over. Okay, so sitting in the back of the LX, again, this is a big body-on-frame SUV, so I'm expecting space, and that's exactly what I'm getting. Even at 6'1", I still have room for my legs. I still feel quite comfortable, and also it's important to note the size of the windows. So the fact that I have this big open space instead of just a little porthole to look out does help for those long trips. And also, of course, we have things like that retractable sunshade. We have the armrests that can come down. A new thing that I noticed on the 700, and I didn't notice this on other LXs, was there's like a little trap door here to get to a couple different USB-Cs, which is great to see. Of course, we have our climate controls, heated seats, cooled seats, all in that center console, as well as some, Mark Levinson speakers. And also, I should notice, and I didn't notice it at first, the color of the seats is like a stone gray. So it's like a two-tone first for this model from what I can tell, and it matches really well with that earth exterior. So who is the new LX700 for? Well, the way I look at this vehicle is here is an off-road capable luxury SUV that has a hybrid powertrain. So I think it's for anyone who wants to explore our beautiful countries and do so in the most luxurious fashion. A vehicle that, even if the road ends, the car does not, and neither does your exploration. And that's where the LX700 comes in. It's definitely niche and unique, and I hope to see as many of these on the road as I possibly can, because I think it's very, very special. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of the new LX700H hybrid, and let me know if there's anything I missed or you would like to see on the channel in the future. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.